Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Okay, so welcome back. So we are in the last module, the last video for the week 4, where in week 4 we have been discussing on plastic ban. Especially we had discussed about the Indian scenario and some global scenario, and then our focus was more on China plastic ban and its impact on global plastic waste management. So we'll continue that discussion and we'll start from exactly where we left in the previous video. We were, if you remember, we were looking at this particular table as well as this discussion on in terms of the US scrap export to China, that what is the impact of the ban. So the plastic ban came somewhere in the middle over here, and so this is this is prior to ban. So my prior to ban, and then we have this is post ban, and as you can see, these numbers kind of speaks for themselves. If you kind of look at carefully, there is a drop of nearly 37.48% for paper, 92% for plastic. So after this China ban, there has been drop of 92% of plastic waste is not going to earlier what was going to China for the same period in 2017. If you compare that with same period 2018, there was a drop of 92% of the plastic waste going to China. And that's not only plastic, there are other waste components as well, since the ban is not only on plastic, it's on other waste. But in our, since this course is focused on plastic, we are talking about that. And there is of course a lot of anxiety in the US market. Similar anxiety is there in Australia, all those developing countries which were relying a lot on China's in terms of managing their waste, and with this China short ban, that has become a problem. So what we'll do is we'll have a quick look at a video which was done by CNBC on in terms of the impact of this China ban, which explains it very clearly for the US market, but the similar things are there for Australia and other countries, as I said earlier. And you can find several videos on YouTube discussing that these days, because this is a very, very hot topic in terms of how to manage the garbage now, since the Chinese will not take it. And so let's look at that video, then we'll discuss that, and then we'll try to conclude this particular lecture on bans and impact on global plastic waste management. So we'll get started, and I will let you watch this video first, and then we'll have some discussion on it.
Into the market. So now that China isn't taking those recycled bales, buyers have fewer options on where they can even send these materials. That just means that buyers are being more selective on what they buy, and recycling centers are left with stockpiled bales of recyclables.
Well, for recyclers, it's been kind of a horror story, actually, because we have limited budgets and limited labor to put at these sorting programs. So because brokers and buyers of scrap materials are not buying these things if we don't meet standards, we've been looking for alternative markets where they will accept the purity that we can financially create. We used to send to China, now we go to Indonesia, Vietnam, Korea, but those smaller countries with smaller markets are filling up. Since National soared, the Burbank Recycle Center has had some real problems with materials accumulating and with the price that we can actually get for materials. So in January, we got rid of 500 tons of paper that we got absolutely no payment for. We can't get rid of plastic clamshells, the kinds of things that might be around produce, salads, berries. We can't get rid of those. We have no market for those. We used to generate about $50,000 a month on scrap materials. And now it's almost in the opposite direction, where we're paying about between $40,000 and $50,000 a month in processing fees that aren't made up for by scrap commodity sales.
In the entire U.S., recycled plastic scrap exports to China have dropped 92% over the first 5 months of 2018.
Well, if China doesn't take this material, we don't have any choice. Either we give it away to someone that has space to, say, warehouse it until markets change or until they find a market to sell it into, or we just have to bury it. And, I hope not, but there may come a day when we have to burn this stuff. I don't know. This is a big problem. The way that this could play out for consumers is, and it's already happening, some cities are reducing the list of materials accepted in the recycling carts and in the programs. I think we're going to see potentially higher prices in what it costs to process waste and to, create recycling programs that work. And it's, we focus on China and the change of policies, but quite honestly, what has happened is the United States has lost control of consumption. We are in some trouble because we've become so accustomed to so many products and packagings that are short-lived. So we're going to have to, as U.S. citizens, we're going to have to be very cognizant of who we are as consumers and what the effect of that is going to be.
To help the situation, Hampel thinks change needs to be made in manufacturing, but there are some things that everyone can do to help.
Buy bulk. Buy the biggest container that you can. Don't buy the single serve, multiply wrapped products that, everything has another piece of plastic around it. Secondly, use all the reusables that you can. If you're a frequent drinker of beverages, bring your own container and refill it. That bottled water is a real problem with its packaging. The other things you can do is, bring your own bags, shop locally at the farmer's market where you're getting fresh produce and food. Looking forward, it's very unstable. We just don't know how this is going to play out. It's a big ask to change things very quickly in the United States about our consumption habits. It's a big ask to find other countries and other mills and processors to take the amount of waste that we generate in the U.S. every year and try to get it into reuse programs or recycling programs. So I wish I had a crystal ball to predict the future, and I just don't.
So as you saw in this particular video, what was presented to you was a mixed stream recycling. It was a mixed stream recycling. Where what does a mixed stream means? That you take all the recyclables and put it together in one container, and that one container gets loaded into the recycling truck, and then the recycling truck brings it to the material recycling facility. So since it's single stream recycling, where all the different waste recyclables are mixed together, the chances of contamination is much higher. And since the chances of contamination is much higher, it is not meeting the standard prescribed by the China ban now, which if you remember, which we discussed earlier, was 0.5%. So if we go for multi-stream recycling, we will probably do better. But the thing is that if you go for more and more multi-stream recycling, that means more and more trucks are required, the infrastructure gets complex, and that requires a lot of money to be invested, a lot of manpower to be invested there. So there has to be an techno-economic feasibility analysis of whether we should go for multi-stream or a single stream. Earlier, many municipalities in North America or other places in the world were going for multi-stream recycling, and then they actually moved back to single stream recycling because that was easier to do it, and the China was ready to take those dirty recyclables. Now since China doesn't want those dirty recyclables, when I say China, I'm also talking about other countries which imports garbage from overseas, other countries will follow suit too. Other countries will also start putting those similar standard as China has done, having less and less contamination, pretty much having a clean recyclables. So what does that mean in terms of the waste management? From a plastic waste management, say from an Indian point of view, we will start seeing a lot of these dirty plastic recyclables trying to come to India, because since the market is China is not there anymore, so they will try to send it to a country like India, and which is already happening. So of course that will become a problem. That is a challenge as well as an opportunity. Challenge, if it goes into the informal recyclers where it is not managed properly, it becomes a challenge, and with the level of contamination coming in. Opportunity, if we can take this opportunity and develop our own recycling industry. What China did is they imported all these dirty recyclables from overseas for almost 2 decades, and they developed their own recycling industry. Now they are, and they also started recycling within their own country. So there are a lot of recycling programs in place in many cities in China now. So they have a good recyclable material coming from within the country, so they don't have to rely on the recyclables coming from overseas. See, they were not doing it for charity. It is for because they wanted those recyclables, they wanted those material so that it can go to their factories for manufacturing. Similarly, in the contest, in Indian contest, if you think about, if we have to, when we set up a lot of factories in India with Make in India and all those things that is we need to do, if you really build things in India, we need material, and recyclable is a good source of material, secondary material source. And so we do, rather than relying on the virgin material, we can use this recyclable material, and that's a good source of material, but at the same time it has to be clean. Then only you can use it. If it's not clean, you cannot use it. So that's the reason why it either has to be cleaned, you accept the clean material as China is doing now, or you take the dirty material and clean it within your own country. But of course it will have the impact on environment, but you can set systems in place where you can do that, and at the same time try to develop the recycling market within the country. So those are the issues that this particular video was wrestling about, and it talked about not only plastic, it talked about the other waste stream as well, which was going to China, and now the countries are struggling to what to do with that particular waste. So this is just an example video. You will find several videos like this on YouTube and other sources on looking at the impact on recyclable or impact on entire waste recycling industry because of this China short policy or China ban, which we popularly known as. So that's what we wanted to kind of give you an idea. There are, as I said, this is a very fluid situation in waste management sector right now. Things keep on changing. So again, if you find something interesting stuff, share it in the discussion board with your other friends, and that's will help us to talk about in terms of the waste, in terms of the waste, like plastic waste management stuff that is happening around the world. So now to really make the ban work, we need to talk about, since the whole week we have been discussing on plastic ban, we looked at the issues of plastic ban in different countries around the world. So if really to make this ban work, there are laws are being made, but the laws needs to be enforced. So laws are not enforced appropriately, then your compliance is reduced or eliminated. So in this particular pie chart which you can see behind me, or in the diagram, there are different aspects we are looking at. We are looking at the enforcement, we are looking at the collection and disposal, we are looking at loopholes, we are looking at black markets, and we are also looking at the alternatives. So for really this plastic ban to work, the multi-strategy has to be incorporated, where we have to look at the enforcement, where the laws are implemented. First of all, laws needs to be practical oriented too. Say if you start banning too many stuff and without giving the alternatives to the market, alternatives at the reasonable price, not too costly, not too practically challenged, like it has to be similar material, easier to use material. and then the laws could potentially be enforced. So laws are not enforced appropriately, then compliance is reduced. And if the plastic bag ban is there, but the waste disposal has to collect those plastic bags, because the plastic will be there in the waste stream. There will be loopholes. It is crucial to identify the loopholes and try to work on that. There is always be black market issues, black market emerging in place where plastic has been banned. So if the plastic is banned, there will be black market selling those plastic. There will also be like people trying to make money out of those black market stuff. And then we have to provide sustainable alternative for a successful plastic ban. So this is if you look at this particular week's content, we started with talking about the ban. We have been working on ban in Indian context in terms of mostly single-use plastic, those less than 50 micron size plastic bags, single-use plastic bags, those black color plastic that you get for the grocery or chicken or fish store, the thin plastic, the transparent thin plastic that you get for the vegetable market, or even when you go for some small snacks and other places like jalebis, samosas and all that, you get those plastic bags there. And those plastic bags were pretty convenient. I have seen people even using it for, say, if you go for buying Italy and then chutney and the sambar and all that, they will put it on those plastic bags. It's putting anything hot on those plastic bags actually is not good for health, but it's convenient. People used to do that. And but we are banning all of those stuff, which is kind of a welcome move, because those are the nuisance stuff which creates a problem. The question is having a proper alternative in place which people can use, and the alternative should be, since we see our lifestyle has become of a convenience lifestyle. So we started rather than creating our own container for taking all those like sambar, chutney and other stuff that we used to do as a kid. Now people take in those plastic pouches, which is not at all good for health, but still we do it because we don't have to carry those material. You can do it along the way back from your office to the home. You pick those material and go home and eat. So those things will go away, but there has to be some alternatives in place which can be used, and then only these things will actually go away. There will be, otherwise you will have still like I see that in many states where the plastic ban has been in place for the single-use plastic, still those plastic bags are being given to the consumer from like below the table or in a illegal way, but it's still happening because there is no proper alternative in place. And part of it is behavioral issue, part of it also is a technical issue and practical issue too. It's not that plastic has made our life so comfortable to many extent that it becomes kind of part of life. From morning to evening we are using different plastic materials, and when we are telling somebody to stop using it, all of a sudden without providing proper alternative, many times it does not really work. So, and then we also looked at some places where they have made it work by forcefully putting some policies in place. In Africa, one country does it a wonderful job, a lot of fine in place, and that financial penalty is always kind of works better than the other source of penalty. And then we looked at the overall in terms of having this ban effect, especially when in terms of plastic waste management, how the China ban, we discussed that in more detail, and its impact on plastic waste coming from across the globe into China, and its impact, possible aftermath of plastic going to other countries and also coming to India, and its impact in India. So from an Indian perspective, plastic waste is a huge deal. Presently, we have around 10 to 12% of our municipal solid waste is plastic waste, which the reports are suggesting, including some of the field study done by our research lab as well. And so that's a substantial quantity of waste. So out of 100 kg of waste, 12 kg is plastic. So that's and if you think about the volume, it will be much higher because plastic is a lighter material. So we have to deal with this in an effective way. So from now, so far in this particular course, we talked about what is plastic. We even looked at what is the plastic. We talked about the plastic waste management issues a little bit. We talked about the policies, plastic waste management policy of India and some global policies. So a little bit of EPR concept, we discussed that, and then we talked about this big China ban issue. So this, now we have finished 50% of the course. In the rest 50%, our focus will go more into looking at what are the environmental and human health aspect if we don't manage this plastic waste properly. What is how to manage this plastic waste? What are the technologies out there? How to deal with those? What are the pros and cons of different technologies, and how to implement those different technologies? And then we also talk about the whole concept of resource recovery, circular economy, and all. So hope you are enjoying this course so far. And we have been, as I said in the very beginning of this course, there is no textbook for this particular course. So we have been trying to collate material from different sources and putting it together to have an interesting course, at the same time course which can provide you some knowledge so that you can help the society in this particular aspect of plastic waste management wherever, in whatever way you can. But again, any material that you find that we should have talked about in the class, or any discussion that you think should have happened in the class but has not happened in this on a particular topic, put it on the discussion board. We will be more than happy to have a lively discussion over there. So thank you, and continue. Congratulations for finishing 50% of the course. So looking forward to have a similar input from you and similar enthusiasm from you in the next 50%. Thanks.